Welcome to the March 2nd, 2026 Troy City Council meeting. We are honored this evening to have Senior Pastor David Huffstutler from First Baptist Church of Troy to provide our invocation. So if you are able, please rise and remain standing for our Pledge of Allegiance after.
Dear Father in heaven above, we thank you for the privileges and freedoms and peace that we have to live here in the city of Troy. I pray that you would be with the mayor and the council and the various offices tonight as they deliberate, and each one who's attended to be a part of things. I pray that you would also be with our first responders who serve in the city. We thank you for our police, our fire, and our emergency personnel. We thank you for how they put their lives on the line to protect us, and I pray that you'd protect them. Bless this meeting tonight, give them wisdom to uphold all that is good and to address the problems that are before them. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Appreciate it. I will call the March 2nd, 2026 Troy City Council meeting to order and ask for the roll call from Ms. Dixon.
Mayor Baker?
Here.
Councilmember Bloom?
Here.
Councilmember Brooks?
Here.
Councilmember Chamberlain?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Chanda?
Here.
Councilmember Gunn?
Here.
Councilmember Hamilton?
Here.
All present this evening. We have no certificates of recognition and special presentations, no carryover items, but we do have two public hearings. E1 is a public hearing to transfer Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, PY 2024 funds to the Bolin Park Inclusive Play Structure Project. And that'll be introduced by Courtney Flynn, our Communications Director, and Kurt Bovensieper, our Public Works Director.
Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council. Tonight, we are requesting that the 2024 CDBG funds be reprogrammed for the Bolin Park Inclusive Play Structure. We had originally programmed the entirety of the $127,543 for the Lakeview Mid-Block Crossing Project, and that project came in under the $127,000 cost, and so we are requesting to have the remainder of those funds reprogrammed.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Councilmember Hamilton.
So sometimes things do come in under budget, so that's good to hear. I was going to ask, what is the timeline looking like on the Inclusive Play Structure project? And while I got you up there, how's the cricket field looking too? Might as well cover that as well.
Sure. I plan on going more over in detail further in the agenda. We're going to be asking for an award for the inclusive park, so I'll go over those details then, if that's okay.
Yep.
Cricket field, as the weather breaks, we're gearing up. May 15th is going to be our first scheduled game. We'll be working with communication staff to do an official ribbon cutting somewhere in the very near future. We're well positioned to be able to go in with our staff if necessary to make sure that the field is fully ready by the May 15th date. We still are very hopeful that the contractor will fulfill their obligations, but if not, we are fully prepared to finish that to be ready by May 15th.
Awesome news.
Councilmember Gunn.
On the cricket field, again, any repercussions if they don't complete?
Yes, we are withholding several tens of thousands of dollars to that contract, so if they do not comply, they won't receive any of that.
I was over there the other day and I thought, well, it's going to be a push.
Pardon me?
I was over there the other day and I thought it's going to be a push to complete it.
Yeah, we're like I said, we're well positioned if the contractor doesn't respond successfully to come in and take care of the things that are necessary to have a game May 15th.
Okay.
Any other questions about CDBG?
CDBG, not cricket.
Mayor Pro Tem Chanda, no?
No, I was going to ask something about the cricket, but we'll hold off later.
Maybe we can talk about maybe we can get if there's anything reportable about the cricket field that we need to know, maybe we could get that if necessary. Fair? Sure. All right. Any other questions? CDBG. All right, I'll open the public hearing. I don't see anyone here signed up to speak on E1, the public hearing regarding the reallocation of CDBG funds, but that doesn't prohibit you from speaking if you'd like to. Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing and ask if someone would like to move the resolution. Councilmember Hamilton.
I'd like to move E1, public hearing to transfer Community Development Block Grant CDBG PY 2024 funds to the Bolin Park Inclusive Play Structure Project as printed in the agenda packet.
Support.
Moved by Councilmember Hamilton, supported by Councilmember Gunn, that we approve E1, public hearing to transfer Community Development Block Grant CDBG PY 2024 funds to the Bolin Park Inclusive Play Structure Project as printed in the agenda packet. Any discussion? Vote, Ms. Dixon.
Mayor Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Bloom?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chanda?
Yes.
Councilmember Gunn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hamilton?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next up is E2, public hearing, conditional rezoning, proposed Troy Trail North, east side of Livernois and north of Big Beaver, PIN 88-20-22-101-034. Section 22 from R1C One Family District to RT One Family Attached District. That'll be introduced by Brent Savana, our Community Development Director. Hi, Brent.
Good evening, Mayor Baker, City Council. Nice to see you again. The applicant prepared a video that we played for the Planning Commission. He'd like to play it again, so I'd like to start off the presentation with the video, if that's okay.
Two minutes of silence in here never happens. Thanks, Brent. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Scott. So before you this evening is a conditional rezoning agreement, which we all know is a zoning ordinance map amendment that involves the applicant voluntarily offering conditions in order to improve the level of predictability in terms of what's going to be developed on the site. This site in question is a little smaller than 34 acres in size. It's presently zoned R1C, One Family Residential, and the applicant seeks rezoning to RT, One Family Attached Residential. In terms of land use and zoning, I would characterize Livernois between Big Beaver and Wattles as being relatively mixed in terms of uses, and it's also relatively mixed in terms of zoning. You see the zoning map on the screen. There is one parcel that is presently zoned RT that was conditionally rezoned about 3 years ago to RT. Same developer, and that's Troy Trail South. But you see the other zoning districts along that stretch of road: PUD, R1C, and R1B, single-family residential, Big Beaver, O office, community facilities, and neighborhood nodes. So it's very much a mixed bag. The star indicates the property on the master plan classification. The land is presently classified as single-family residential. The master plan, according to the master plan, this category is intended to preserve the existing quality residential neighborhoods in the city, while recognizing the need for other uses that support the main function of residential areas. For this development, I'll get into the details here just in about a minute. Approximately 75% of the land of this 34 acres is dedicated to single-family residential use and open space. The remaining 25% is proposed to be a mix of multiple family and attached single family. But overall, 156 units on 34 acres is about 9,400 square feet per unit. The R1C classification is, the minimum lot size is 10,500. So it's a little bit more dense than R1C, but less dense than R1D, which is 8,500 square feet minimum. So it's right in that R1C, R1D area. So Chapter 8 of the master plan does recognize the need for greater housing diversity in the city. And in this case, the applicant is offering 3 housing types in an integrated neighborhood. And this development would serve as a transitional buffer between Livernois and the neighborhood to the east. So site layout, we have a color rendered layout on the screen. The total number of units is 156. As part of this application, the developer is proposing to donate a 5.3 acre community park with a playground. In your packet are numerous renderings of the playground. The park's to be dedicated to the city and maintained by the city. There are 2 access drives proposed. They're indicated with red arrows. Significant internal sidewalks. There was a question in the city council emails about pedestrian connectivity. This will be strongly connected. There's a 8-foot wide sidewalk on Livernois, and this will connect the Troy Trails, which, as we know, will go both north and south. So very, very walkable. The breakdown of the 156 units outlined in red is the area where their applicants proposing to construct 63 single-family residential homes. And then in yellow, 37 townhomes. And then in purple, 56 stacked flats or 8plexes. And the layout complies with the RT provisions in the zoning ordinance. The 63 single-family residential units, this is one example. There's going to be a significant variety of elevations, as well as roof lines to create visual diversity. They're going to be typically front-loaded, with attached garages. Here's an example of what the townhomes are going to look like. There'll be 37 of those, attached 2-story, again, varied facades, and each unit with an individual entry and garage. And these are the stacked flats, 8 stacked flats per building. They're vertical, so one on top of the other. And they include balconies, stairwells, and articulated facades for visual interest. They'll be constructed with quality building materials, including brick, board and batten siding, and black window frames. My wife loves black window frames. She talks about them all the time. Here's an example of what this is going to look like. This is to the left is Livernois. So obviously you're looking down. We've all driven past that property, and we know it's a little bit sunken, but this is what it's kind of a cross section of what it's going to look like. And here's what the entryway is proposed to look like. The applicant's proposing a number of conditions. I'm not going to read all of them. I underlined some of the ones that I think are really important. The site plan is offered as a condition of approval. The total number of units is proposed to not exceed 156. Going back to the density here, the owner's restricting himself and leaving a lot of potential units on the table. There's essentially twice as much density is permitted on this property. If it was a straight rezoning, they could do about 300 units, give or take. So the building materials that are proposed are going to ensure quality units, and the 5.3 acre conveyance, as well as the playground that's proposed to be constructed, are all conditions of approval. Not going to go over the conditional rezoning standards. You've seen a number of these applications before, but they're in your packet. And there's also site plan review standards. And those standards were considered by the Planning Commission when they held a public hearing and discussed this application, and November 11th, and they recommended approval by a vote of 8-1. And with that, I can answer any questions you may have. And the representing Tableau, AKA Mondrian, is Joe Maniaci.
Thank you. Does Joe have any separate presentation other than the video that might help or okay, so, but any questions might come up, so, all right, thank you. That was my first question. Councilmember Gunn.
The first question is, I guess, so I understand you guys have some flats, so basically, are they going to be selling the building, and people aren't buying these flats, are they? They're gonna be renting them?
I'm going to defer to Mr. Maniaci on that. He may have some
Okay.
more
that's one
knowledge than me.
question. The other thing is, though, the park, so, in my understanding that park is in a floodplain, so what kind of steps are gonna be taken, since the city of Troy has to take on the expense? What kind of steps are gonna be taken to mitigate that? Detention ponds,
So like all applications in the city that require site plan, the first step is preliminary site plan review and approval, which is what the applicant's seeking this evening as part of the conditional rezoning application. Assuming they get preliminary site plan approval, the next step would be final site plan approval, which involves engineering drawings and getting into the details of the floodplain and the wetlands and drainage and all those details. The applicant will be required to use an engineer that's licensed in the state of Michigan. They're going to do the design drawings, seal those drawings, submit them to our engineering department, which is comprised of numerous civil engineers. They're going to review the plans. They're going to apply local, county, state, federal laws to ensure that it's appropriately designed. So we're not there yet in terms of getting to all the issues. The applicant at this time has provided just preliminary grading, preliminary drawings, just basically to make sure that water is going to flow downhill. But we'll get into the details to ensure that the wetlands and floodplains will not negatively impact this property and neighboring properties.
and I assume time frame 2-3 years?
I'm sure Mr. Maniaci will be able to tell you what his plans are in terms of timing.
And I asked that question because I believe we'll probably have to budget for this park for ongoing maintenance, so. Right, that's it.
The questions that Mr. Maniaci is going to answer, do you want to do them after we've all asked a series of questions? Will someone remember what those are? Will you remember what questions are being asked? That's my only concern.
You
So I
taking
don't-
mental notes, Joe?
I don't want to go through 6 of us
Yeah.
or 7 of us asking questions and
Yep.
then not answer Mark's first question. So, okay. Councilmember Hamilton?
Thank you. So looking at the park, how, is that design final, or is like our Parks and Rec Board or planning and council going to be involved, to meet where our Parks and Rec master plan is, to make sure, the playground is kind of where the vision is for the city, or how is that going to work?
So the drawings that were included in the packet are what this thing could look like. But it's going to have to meet city standards in terms of durability and design. So Kurt Bovenseep has already been involved very preliminarily on this. He's reminded the applicant and reminded myself that it's got to pass muster in terms of those requirements. So that's not the guaranteed final design of the playground structure. It's more of a placeholder.
Got it. Okay.
So there's still work to be done in terms of review and filing out what this thing's going to look like. But rest assured, there'll be significant input from the DPW and whoever else Kurt has in mind to look at these plans.
Got it.
That's a quick follow-up on that. I don't know if you have.
Go ahead.
I guess just so there is a mechanism in place, and not that Joe or anyone would do this, but there's not just going to be something donated to us that we don't necessarily want. I mean, like that's the key, right?
100%.
What is, and that's the, I think the question is what, maybe it doesn't go through the full Parks and Rec Board, maybe it doesn't go to, it won't come to us again. But as long as there is a mechanism for guidance, and it sounds like that's the case, I think.
Nothing is going to be constructed until the city has had an opportunity to review and approve the plans.
Right, okay. Councilmember, did you have another one hand, David, or are you?
Nope, I'm good.
Councilmember Chamberlain.
Thank you, Mayor. So going back to the park, I know it will be conveyed, given to us. That includes a trail as well. Is that correct?
Yes?
Okay, and we will maintain that trail, correct? Okay. Other question was, with the Troy Trail South, Mondrian's other development, my memory, if it serves me correctly, is there's a trail there as well. So are those going to connect? then?
Not yet. The PUD property that I showed on the slide, where there's presently an assisted living facility, we have not, we, the city, have not yet been conveyed property on the, to the east of the building that would connect Troy Trail north of that property to Troy Trail South. So,
But the vision is to do so
but the
at
vision
some
is to
point.
do so, yes.
Okay, excellent. Other question, on the eightplexes, there's a provision, I'm just trying to make sure I understand correctly. It said that there's a provision that if the eightplex buildings don't have a market, that they could move, they could then instead do townhomes. But then I also read that there would, no matter what, be at least a minimum of 2 eightplex buildings. Can you just clarify for me?
Yeah, so I want to be clear that the timing of the conditional rezoning applications is typically that the applicants don't get really heavily involved in the legal document until it gets through Planning Commission, because we don't know what's, based on the back and forth of Planning Commission, if there's going to be any significant changes that are brought up that the applicant voluntarily agrees to. So we really don't roll up our sleeves until it gets through Planning Commission. So following Planning Commission, because I want to make it clear, I don't believe this was a bait and switch where where the applicant intended to not bring us up to Planning Commission. We just didn't get into the details until after Planning Commission. But once the conditional rezoning agreement was proposed and there was back and forth with their attorney and our attorneys, that provision was suggested. I believe because the applicant's a little bit nervous in terms of what the market's going to support. This is somewhat of a different housing product for the Troy market. As I understand the layout, it's the ground floor is 2 units and 6 garages, and then above are 6 units. So an eightplex, but it involves the stacked ranches. And I think there's some nervousness on behalf of the Tableau team. They don't want to commit to building 56 of these, but they build 2 and they don't sell. And they're left, with undeveloped property and et cetera. So I think what they're seeking is flexibility. They're willing to commit to 2, and if the market doesn't support, then they would use that space for townhomes. It wouldn't be as many units. I think instead of 156, it would only be 139 total, so they would build fewer units. But that's the issue as I understand it. But again, Mr. Maniaci is here, and he can provide more background.
Thank you, Brent. And he may be able to also explain at what point in the life cycle of the project would he know that. So I can leave that to him. And also maybe think of the Troy Trail South. If I remember correctly, there were some changes too because of market demand. So I don't know, maybe that's also influenced by that.
That's a really good memory. Originally, Troy Trail South was attached units. Went through the conditional rezoning process, was approved, and came back to, again, build fewer units, but they were detached instead of the attached ones that were originally approved. So really good memory.
Mayor Pro Tem Chanda.
Thank you, Brent. Yeah, so my question about the trail, the current trail, the Dog Park Trail, that's not changing, right? That is staying where it is.
That's correct.
And there is no barrier between the trail and the park, the way.
That's correct.
Okay, so that, who owns the land east of that trail? Is that us?
East of the trail,
I think he means the
Of the-
America House, right?
yeah,
It's them.
No, the east, like the woodlands, is that, yeah, woodlands.
some of them are on the subject parcel.
That's,
Here's
yeah,
the
that's
drawing
like,
here.
yeah, and that's like this side of that. Is that our
Yeah.
city property or the, like, there's a lot of green space there. Is that something that we own or is that a private
that-
property?
So this property here presently is Tableau's property.
So right side of that, like on that side.
Over
of-
here, yeah, this is, these are,
It's kind of the
I don't have
wetland area. I mean, that would be,
Walsh College owns some
Walsh,
of it. I
that-
believe
Walsh,
owns
thank
some
you.
of it.
okay.
Walsh College.
Oh, okay, so that's not our property, but
Yeah.
that's, hopefully that remains green, so that's a nice area. My question about the types of, maybe that's a question from Andrian, like how many different floor plans are there? I mean, I was going through it, I saw something starting from 1,800 square feet to 4,000 square feet. I mean,
Probably a question for
them, okay.
for Joe, yeah.
Okay, that's all I had. I mean, maybe we can, when they come, we can ask them.
Let me go to Councilmember Brooks.
Thank you, Mayor. So two quick questions. One was, I know that the wetland delineation report needed to be done for us to be able to approve this project. And it looks like it was done, is that the report that we have January
Yes.
6th? Okay, I just wanted to confirm that. The other thing is, I know that, we do have a traffic study, and obviously, it looks good. We always have questions about that. There's always questions about when residents see, so many units coming into this space as to whether or not this would cause any sort of traffic issues. Can you kind of speak to that and reassure us that that will be okay?
I didn't print the study out, which is probably a good thing because I'm by no means a traffic expert, but so what the traffic study did is it looked at a lot of elements such as the placement of the approaches here to make sure they lined up properly with approaches to the north and south as well as across Livernois. They looked at whether there was warrants for signalized intersections, and there are not. They looked at whether the trips in and out of this development are going to significantly impact traffic on Livernois, and the determination was that it is not. There was a question in the email correspondence about pedestrians, and again, I addressed that briefly in the presentation. There's going to be sidewalks all throughout this that connect to both the Troy trails and to the 8-foot sidewalk on Livernois, and I think it was 800 feet to the south, there's a signalized intersection across Livernois that connects the east side of Livernois with this campus. That's a very, very rudimentary summary of the traffic study that's about 400 pages long.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
It's fair to say, though, that on a Sunday when that church was in service, there were far more
Oh, yeah.
concentrated time going in and out.
Right.
Yeah, 100%.
You already went, Mark. I'm going to go to Councilmember Bloom. I'll come back to you.
Sure. Question for Mr. Maniaci. Understood that the eightplex is somewhat new for Troy. However, what other portfolios or cities have that type of housing, and have they been successful? What would be the swing here for Troy in terms of adoptability?
All right. Duly noted. All right. Councilmember Gunn.
Follow-up question on the park, something I'm a little concerned about. It's on the east side of all the houses, right?
Yes.
Okay. If it's a city park, there's no place for city people who don't live there to park.
Yeah.
So they're gonna be parking in front of the neighbors' homes. And I guess kind of my concern is, well, my homeowner, we have a 5-acre park, but we maintain it. The city's basically gonna be maintaining this park for all the people that are living in this complex.
So this, when we first saw a concept for this, I actually had the same concerns as you. And I felt that there should have been more parking here.
Yeah.
Because this is going to be really attractive for people with kids and people who wanted to use the play structure. But I talked to the applicant, and I spent a lot of time talking to Mr. Bovenseep, who talked me off the ledge. And the reasoning that I have come to agree with is there's a lot of play structures throughout this community. And this isn't going to be the regional type draw of a play structure. It's not going to be so big that a parent is going to drive by a bunch of other play structures to come to this one. This one is really intended to serve people that live in this development and to the east in those neighborhoods that they can walk to. It's that scale. as well as users of the trail. So people who are walking, pushing a stroller, or biking with their kids, they're going to stop here. They're going to park at the trailhead, which isn't really that. It's just down here. They're going to park at the trailhead and they're going to walk or bike there, or they're going to come from the other direction, or they're going to walk from the neighborhoods that are really close. And other people are going to go to play structures that are closer to their homes. This isn't that big enough of a draw that it's going to create a parking problem.
Right, that's why I'm wondering why the city should maintain it versus the complex. 90% of it's going to be the complex use.
Well, we've got plans for Troy Trails to continue to extend this and continue to increase usership of the trail. So I think over time this will be well used by people who are using the trail in addition to the neighbors. So I think this is another amenity to the trail. It's like a bench or a trash can. It's another amenity for users.
I look at it as we're getting a $2 million park
Yeah.
given to us, and I'm comfortable maintaining that for the amount of users that will use it. I mean, that's a different way of reframing it. I hear what you're saying, but I reframe that as, you know, it's a way for us to increase our park portfolio. Someone else has died, so, right.
Yeah, I wanted to, if I can, make a comment, like it's not that far from the dog park trail parking lot, right? So
Right.
I'm in a way looking at an extension of that park. I mean, a lot of people might come there for their dog and have kids that can play there. So the parking lot is large enough. I had the same question, where would people park, and convinced myself that it's really within walking distance. But more importantly, what you said, it's an extension of the trail. That's how I'm looking at it. So.
And there was a question and answer earlier as a reminder. The answer from our DPW was the impact to the overall parks maintenance budget will be minimal. The equipment will be fully inspected annually by one of our in-house playground safety inspectors and take about 4 hours. Since the equipment will be in line with the Troy Trail, staff will include it in its normal rounds. So I don't think it's a heavy lift based on staff analysis. Additional questions? Councilmember Hampton.
Yeah, this is probably for the applicant, but are there any estimated price points
Yes, my question.
on all the various options in the townhomes and the flats and everything? Yep.
I think we're ready for those answers.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joe Miniacci. I'm with Tableau Ben Adrian. We're very proud to present the project to you guys. When we first acquired the property, our first thoughts is, how can we make this something unique? And because it's in the center of the city, we wanted it to be a gem, not only for the city, but for us as a building company. It's one of our biggest endeavors that we're doing. We do a lot of projects in the city of Troy, and we're very proud of the construction that we do. So we really wanted to attack it in a whole bunch of different ways. The first thing that came to our mind was, how can we enhance the Troy Trail system? And that's how the name of the project came about, too, is that the walking path, the pretty much perpendicular line straight up and down, has been there for a little while. And we wanted to enhance that as well as putting in the development itself. So that's where we came about with these little round circles and the play structures. We had many conversations with the city regarding a trailhead, and we all came to the conclusion that the Daisy Dog Park has plenty of parking for people that want to walk the trails. Actually, I do that in the summertime. Since this property came in possession, we've been walking the trail all summer. And we're very proud to be able to make it a nicer trail system. Many people from all over the area that don't live there now are using the trail system. So we're just adding to what's there to make it a nicer trail system. That's where, and it also will benefit some of the residences in the community, but it is also for the overall community, or that block area of Troy. We have 3 different housing product types: the stack flats, which would be the most moderate priced, then the townhomes, and then the single-family residential. The single-family residential starts off with ranch homes sites, and we have some models of those already existing on the east side of Troy. which we'll be using to promote in this community. And then a variety of colonials, which seems to be the most popular product that we build in the city. The townhomes are another new product for us, but it is a product that's already existing in the city of Troy. It's 1,800 square foot, 2-car garage, bedrooms on the second floor, all living on the first floor with a full basement. The stack flats is the product that is widely used on the east side, Macomb Township, Shelby Township, Sterling Heights, and I've seen it in Canton and Plymouth and Novi area. I've just not have seen it in the Troy area. So we're really excited about the product, and we really want to make it a go of it. And we're committing to putting up at least 2 buildings, and after the buildings are up and we're seeing how sales will go, then we'll make a decision at that point when to continue with the rest of the buildings or come back or switch to the townhomes. It would be the existing townhomes that are already on the site. So we're not introducing another product. The reason we put it in the conditional rezoning was that we didn't want to have to go through another 3 or 4 month process of coming back to you and saying, we'd like to change the layout of the site. The street pattern's going to stay exactly the same as it is. If we do switch to the townhomes, there'll be more open space, less density, and pretty much everything else stays the same. The sidewalk pattern, the streets, and the entrances to the community. I think I hit every question.
That's what we're going.
So my first question was, so you're going to have 7 buildings with 8 flats.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to sell a building, or are you going to sell flats, or?
Each unit is, everything is for sale.
Okay. Will you guys have a homeowner association?
Yes, there'll be 3 small homeowners association and 1 large association that manages the overall open spaces.
Okay, perfect. That answers my question.
If you, one sec. With regard to the 2 buildings you've committing to build for the flats, do you know where they would be? And do you have
Originally, I
consent?
was thinking 1 on each side of the entrance of the north entrance. After talking with Brent, some thought was coming about as the 2 northern buildings up against Walsh College, and we're going to further look into that. But when we get our building permits, we'll pick 2 to start.
And can I ask what metrics you use? My concern is, I think our concern is, we really want this type of housing in Troy. We've been asking you, for example,
Yes.
to build it for a long time.
I know, and that's why I'm here.
And so, and others, of course, but what metrics will you use to determine whether or not it's right? Because you'll make more money building the other kind, I think, right? I mean, that's typically what we get told. While it's more expensive, I can sell a townhome or a single family for more, so that's why we don't build these. So I guess our concern is, what comfort do we have that
It will
you're
come
going to say
down
they'll
to,
sell, they could sell really quickly, but you could still say, you know what, the demand's not quite what I thought, I want to build the other ones.
it will come down to profitability. I'm not going to lie to you guys, but it's going to be, we're not looking to make a killing on it. We're trying to I'm excited about the product myself. And I wouldn't have presented it to you if I didn't think we could make a go of it. I just wanted not to have to come back and say, I failed and I need to, change it to townhomes. So my goal is to give you what I present. And that's Mondrian's tries to stay by its word, and we're going to do everything in our power to make it happen.
Recognizing flexibility is important as
Yeah.
you're building and you're offering these conditions. We're not here we can't negotiate on our side. So
Right.
I understand it. I just wanted to kind of ask on your take on that. You had something, Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, I mean, following up on the square footage wise, you mentioned the townhomes are about 1,800 square foot. Is that true with the stacked flats?
The stack flats are, the smallest unit's 850 square feet. The next side, the largest one is 1,250.
And then on the other side of the
The-
spectrum, the single-family homes
Starts
are-
at 1,900 square feet
Okay.
and go all the way up to 3,900 square feet.
Okay, so that's a wide variety of options.
Very wide.
Yeah, okay, so
And
that-
if you take a real close look at the site plan, you'll see the smaller lots that force us into putting the smaller homes on those lots.
The other question was roughly what percentage of the land, I think it's in the report or in that, is green space, like is that about 20%?
It's a little over 20%.
20%, okay. Does that include the park, or that's just?
I believe so.
Okay. So
That parking lot's so beautiful now, so.
that's, yeah.
It's
and-
gone. If you had driven by
Just wanted to get it out there.
recently,
Just
most
wanted
of
to
the
get that on the
asphalt's,
record, so.
most of the asphalt's almost gone.
Yeah.
They've been working all winter long to remove it.
Remove that, yeah.
Additional questions for the applicant?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
I will open the public hearing. We do have one person signed up to speak on this item. Again, not prohibited from speaking if something has got your attention now, but Mary Ellen, you are up.
I think some of you read what I've already written, so this is redundant to some of your questions. So I've been reviewing the materials for this proposed development, and I would appreciate clarification on several points before the final decisions are made. The wetland review submitted by Bar Engineering conducted an analysis recommended by the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy. The EGLE confirmed 2 wetlands area within the development. However, that analysis was conducted in November. Wetlands and drainage patterns can take very seasonal different in the spring when the ground levels are higher. Will there be additional seasonal review to ensure that data reflects peak conditions before construction proceeds? I have concerns about the proposed parks. Portions of the site within the floodplain and adjacent to wetlands with specific measures what specific measures are being taken to mitigate the flooding and drainage issues while ensuring there's no encroachment into the regulated wetlands for the buffers. Equally important is the protection is in place to ensure that the city of Troy does not inherit long-term financial responsibility. Accepting property that requires substantial future drainage corrections, grading work, or flood mitigation could place a significant burden on taxpayers. I believe we need to clear assurances that the land conveyed to the city is truly usable and not a future liability. Any corrections needed should definitely fall on the developer. I actually live in my house is actually a flood zone, and 30 years ago I called the city, and they would do nothing for me. And having checked into it, I still live in what I affectionately call the River Barden, because every time it rains, I have a river in my backyard, and my daughter sends my grandson in his muckalucks so that he can come home with less mud. So the floodplains and who's going to pay for that remediation, because I personally know it's expensive, is a big concern to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Mary Ellen. That concludes those that have signed up to speak on each of the public hearing, but like I said, if nothing in our rules prohibits you from speaking now if you'd like to. Right, I will close the public hearing and ask if anyone would like to move the resolution for discussion. Mayor Pro Tem Chanda.
I move E2, public hearing, conditional rezoning, proposed Troy Trail North, east side of Livernois and north of Big Beaver, PIN PIN 88-20-22-101-034, Section 22, from R1C, one family district, to RT, one family attached district, as printed on the agenda packet.
Support.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Chanda, supported by Councilmember Chamberlain, that we approve E2 public hearing conditional rezoning, proposed Troy Trail North, east side of Livernois and north of Big Beaver, PIN 88-20-22-101-034, Section 22, from R1C one family district to RT one family attached district, as printed in the agenda packet. Discussion. I'm going to go down and start with Councilmember Bloom.
Anytime we can change parking lots to parks and increase the usability of the trail as well as increasing housing diversity, I think is a good sign. Really pleased to see how this came about.
Thank you. Councilmember Gunn?
Well, I will comment on, I do appreciate all the, what I've read. You've exceeded standards as far as trees and greenery, the park. I shared the same concern about the floodplain as Mary Ellen. However, I do have to trust the city for doing their due diligence and engineering studies and everything that has to be put in place to mitigate that flooding. So I am supportive of it. I know getting a $2 million park is worthwhile to the city as long as everybody is able to use it like we talked about on the trail, so I'm supportive.
Yeah, no, thank you. Overall, yes, I am supportive of the development. Obviously, there's always tension with our residents between green space and development. But I think the proposed development, I think it is beneficial for our city overall. I do appreciate that there will be the park that will be donated back to the city. The density is much less than what can be built in that area by right. So I think that is something that benefits us as residents, and that's something that is a good thing. The buffering is nice. Obviously, the presentation is nice. The housing stock, I think, is something that we need in the city. Mondrian has always been very cognizant of that and trying to provide housing stock that, will allow residents to age in place, which is something that we are always looking for. So I think overall, this is a win for the city, and hopefully, residents can benefit from it as well.
Mayor Pro Tem Chanda.
Yeah, first of all, wanted to thank Mr. Savidant and the Planning Commission and the Mondrian folks for very hard work. I am very pleased with the proposal. I will be supporting this for various reasons, and one of them, it is, as Councilmember Bloom mentioned, anytime you convert a parking lot to residential complex and some green zone, it is a good thing. But more importantly, we have an acute housing shortage in Michigan as well as throughout the country, and it not only gives us 150 some homes, but gives a lot of choice to the consumers, and that's one of the things. That's why I was asking the different floor plans. I think starting from less than 1,000 square feet all the way to close to 4,000 square feet. So I have talked to many residents. They are looking for either downsizing, the empty nesters that are looking at moving from a bigger home to a smaller home, or other way around, they have bigger family and they're trying to buy a bigger home. They will get a lot of choice, and hopefully the market will support what you're trying to sell. I am also pleased with the number of trees that are going to be planted. I think it's in the report. We are planting more than 200 trees and taking down less than 100 trees. And that's not including the private owners. They will hopefully be planting more trees. So a parking space is getting converted into a relatively greener space. And I also like the addition of the park space. $2 million park equipment is something we are getting. So my concern about the flood plain, the flooding is, I share the same concern as Mary Ellen, but I'm also confident that our experts know what they're doing. They will be taking the right steps. So for that reason, I'll be supporting this.
Thank you. Councilmember Chamberlain?
Thank you, Mayor. Parking lot to parks and forever homes, that's always a good thing. I do want to recognize that for our residents, though it is a parking lot, has been a parking lot, it's also appeared to be open space. So I do want to recognize this will not be easy for residents. I do know residents are going to say, what are we doing? The way I had to approach this is what would happen if we did not approve this? What would happen by right? By approving this, we are addressing our housing needs, our missing middle that we have talked about, we've committed to in our master plan. By not doing it, you would have maybe at best McMansions there. And so this is an example of whether you approve or not, residents are not going to be happy. It's going to be a change. But we do hope by adding in a park and adding in better connectivity as we continue to connect those Troy trails, that is something that people will see benefits everyone. A big thing I look at, part of the standards that we are asked to examine is around compatibility. If I look at this density, and by this we're rezoning to RT, that's attached single family. We do have RT to the south. We talked about the Troy Trail to the south, and we have a PUD. So there is density. There is, this isn't coming out of nowhere. I know it was raised in Planning Commission that you also have, what about all the R1? It does appear there's a lot of single-family residential around it. But the way I saw it is that's across the street. So there's a sort of buffering. and it is further east. And so you have the Troy Trail and you have all the trees, so that's a lot of buffering in between there. So that makes me feel comfortable that there is compatibility in doing this. We already talked about getting a $2 million park. That is, that's a win-win in many ways, and I hope we can just make sure that we're sharing that, encouraging folks when they're out on the trail, because I think they're going to discover it when they're out biking and they're with their kids and they see a little play structure and they want to stop and then they want to come back to it, or they're walking dogs with their families. Also, I do believe that improving this now, it gives us a sense of certainty in my mind. I do know that it's in its very early stages. I know, as the mayor knows, some legislation on housing in Lansing, but it could, at the end of the day, I would say to residents, it could create even more density in single-family residential that we would have no control over. And so this, again, is a win-win. There is 40% of units, 75% of that lot is still single-family residential. But also, what is it I have, is it 20%, 25% is those denser options that we have been asking for and that we know our community needs. So proud to support this and look forward to communicating this with residents of why there is this demand and how it can be a win-win for all of us.
Thank you. Councilmember Hamilton.
Don't have much more to add. I strongly support this. This is not a close decision for all the reasons that have already been brought up, but also this was a property that previously was bringing zero revenue to the city, and now this will bring probably a few $100,000 and even more to our schools. So it's a clear win for the city, and I strongly support it.
Thank you, Councilmember Hamilton. You can count, we haven't voted yet, but it's pretty obvious we're approving this, unless things get wildly different here in a second. But I want to stress again the importance of the stacked flats in our community and what we really are hoping, I think, from up here. I mean, we can't, like I said, it's in the agreement, it is what it is, but it is something we've been trying to get you and others to do. And so I hope that it does work out, and I hope that it meets the expectations you originally had when you did it, and you can build those, because I think they will be wildly successful, as are all of your other developments. We know, my feeling is this development will sell very quickly because of the location and because of the beauty of it. I also am really thrilled to see that, the continued activation of this area in our community, with the trail, with the dog park, all the connectivity over to the Gene Stein Park and the Civic Center. This is, we don't have a downtown in Troy, but it is the center of our city where a lot of action happens, and the more we can, build that out in a responsible way that allows different housing options and different options for recreation, I think is really, really important. So I'm thankful for that. I think residents might actually be happy to see that site developed, because it's been a dated-looking old church that was kind of run down and kind of a shed-looking thing, and I get the open space, and it's going to definitely be a change. But I think, on the whole, residents will be more pleased than not, or at least I'm optimistic that that's going to be the case. It is definitely good for our city. So for all of those reasons, and the fact that Walsh College is very excited about this and to see this development come into play, and the fact that Mary Ellen was here tonight, you didn't even tell us not to vote yes for it. So I mean, there hasn't been a lot of opposition to this project in the community, which is generally an indication that, one, the areas, people aren't being offended by the development that's being put in that specific area, and that also it's a good product. So I'm thankful to hear all of those things, and for that I'll be voting yes. So I'll call for the vote, Ms. Dixon.
Councilmember Bloom?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chanda?
Yes.
Councilmember Gunn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hamilton?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes, motion carries. Thank you. That concludes public hearings. Next up is, there's nobody signed up for public comment for items on the agenda from Troy residents and businesses, so there's no reply. No postponed items, so we move on to regular business. I-1 is board and committee appointments. First up are mayoral appointments. I'll move the appointment of Lisa Neal to the Global Troy Advisory Committee for the term that expires October 30th, 2028.
Support.
Moved by the chair, supported by Councilmember Brooks, that we approve the appointment of Lisa Neal to Global Troy Advisory Committee for the term expiring October 30th, 2028. Any discussion? The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chanda?
Yes.
Councilmember Gunn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hamilton?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Bloom?
Yes.
Motion carries. That concludes mayoral appointments this evening. Next up, I'll turn it over to Mayor Pro Tem Chanda for city council appointments.
Thank you, Mayor. So I have one. So I move that Troy City Council hereby appoints Kelly Jones, or reappoints Kelly Jones to the Liquor Advisory Committee for the term expiring January 31st, 2029.
Support.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Chanda, supported by Councilmember Chamberlain, that we approve the reappointment of Kelly Jones to the Liquor Advisory Committee for the term expiring January 31st, 2029. Any discussion? Kelly's here.
Kelly's here.
The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Councilmember Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chanda?
Yes.
Councilmember Gunn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hamilton?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Bloom?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you, Kelly. That concludes council appointments. Next up, I-2 Board and Committee nominations. I have no nominations this evening, so I'll turn it over to Mayor Pro Tem Chanda for city council nominations.
Okay, thanks, Mayor. I have two. I hereby nominate the following persons to the Election Commission: Stephen Sadlier for the Democratic Party representation, and Ray Watts for the Republican Party representation for the term expiring January 31st, 2027.
Support.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Chanda, supported by Councilmember Chamberlain, that we approve the nomination of Stephen Sadlier as the Democratic Party recommendation and Ray Watts as the Republican Party recommendation to the Election Commission for the terms expiring January 31st, 2027. Any discussion? The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Mayor Pro Tem Chanda?
Yes.
Councilmember Gunn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hamilton?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Bloom?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Chamberlain?
Yes.
Motion carries. We thank both of them for their continued willingness
One more.
to serve, and go ahead.
So I have one more. So I hereby nominate Mark Ozarzik to the Employees Retirement System Board of Trustees for the term expiring December 31st, 2028.
Support.
Is that you, Annalisa? Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Chanda, supported by Councilmember Bloom, that we approve the nomination of Mark Ozarzik as the City of Troy retiree to the Employees Retirement System Board of Trustees, Retiree Healthcare Benefits Plan and Trust for the term expiring December 31st, 2028. Any discussion? The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Councilmember Gunn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hamilton?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Bloom?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chanda?
Yes.
Motion carries. That concludes city council nominations this evening. There is an I-3 request for closed session. I'll move I-3 request for closed session as printed in the agenda packet.
Support.
Moved by the chair, supported by Councilmember Gunn, that we approve I-3 request for closed session. Any discussion? The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Councilmember Hamilton?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Bloom?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chanda?
Yes.
Councilmember Gunn?
Yes.
Motion carries. At the conclusion of our public meeting, we will recess from in here and pick up in the council boardroom for an expected quick closed session, where we'll adjourn. Next up, I-4, Standard Purchasing Resolution 4, Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Contract, Upgraded Speed Alert Radar Message Sign with Trailer, Troy Police Department, and Budget Amendment, introduced by our Chief of Police, Josh Jones, who, when he stood up, made me nervous, and then I realized you were coming up to do your agenda. So, we're good. All right.
Sorry, didn't mean to make you nervous. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm happy to introduce I-4 Cooperative Purchase and Budget Amendment for Speed Alert Radar, Message Sign, and Trailer. Not quite as exciting as last week's Community Services Vehicle presentation, but necessary nonetheless. Our community experiences consistent year-round demand from residents requesting speed radar trailers as a visible deterrent on their streets to address speeding concerns in our neighborhoods, school zones, and residential areas. Troy Police Department's current fleet of radar trailers, which is 3, is aging, with one particularly nearing end of useful life. The older models do not collect traffic data, which limits our ability to analyze speed patterns, identify peak times, or support data-driven enforcement and planning decisions. This was recently a point of contention when we deployed a radar trailer, and the residents' expectation for it was to collect data. That certainly was a level of disappointment when they learned that was not the case, and none of our 3 radar trailers collect any data. No riders are recommended on the trailers, are not equipped with safety belts, so I can't offer rides. However, we hope to have it in service and out in our neighborhoods within 4 to 6 weeks of placing the order. Funding for this purchase was not originally budgeted in capital funds, but identified as a current need based on the last non-data disappointment. Therefore, we will require a budget amendment in the amount of $19,000 to the Police Department Capital Fund. With that, I'm available to answer any other additional questions.
Mayor Pro Tem Chanda.
Thank you, Chief. Just quickly trying to understand, what kind of data does it collect, the speed and?
Speed, number of vehicles, basically in times,
Does it take any, like, picture, or like, does it give out any speeding ticket based on this?
No,
or
no.
Okay.
The state of Michigan enforcement, although it's going to change potentially in construction zones, you can't do monitored enforcement action. It has to be monitored enforcement action by a human.
Thanks, yeah.
Councilmember Gunn.
So these are the ones you would put in neighborhoods primarily?
Correct.
Okay. What I had previously brought up, I reviewed the type of trailers you're using. I had to review a report by an underwriter on these trailers that work the best. And before I mentioned, if you've ever seen those trailers with the red and blue light that flash when you're going, because it's a deterrent for most people. When they see that, they think, police right behind me, I got to stop.
Right.
And I don't know if you've ever looked into those, but
Yeah.
they're very effective.
Yeah, so the sign, I think in the packet shows the messaging board,
Yeah.
kind of the same thought process, and I'm actually not sure that these ones don't also have an LED light on them as well, but I would have to double check on that. I know it has a messaging board, you can program anything in there that, custom signage in there, and then when it goes by, it can like flash how fast you're going with the speed limit sign
Right,
next to
yeah.
it. Yep.
Councilmember Bloom.
This is just one radar unit that is not replacing the other 3, with the other 3 still be in service even though they're aging?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Councilmember Hamilton.
Do we have any longer-term plans maybe to expand this fleet of these? Is it a lot to maintain and then to move them and track them, or, I could see us doing
Yeah.
a lot more, but based on what we've heard from residents.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the 3 that we've had are in constant use. We get a lot of requests for them, we move them around, particularly in the summer and warmer months, constantly. It's not a huge workload, but it is a workload. This would bring us up to 4 trailers, and we can go from there. It's not, I wouldn't say it's unreasonable to expand that, but we can keep 4, I'm confident we can keep the 4 busy, all year round.
What's the useful life of, I guess, this one, but also how old are the older ones?
I don't know, I can
Okay.
find out.
That's
I'd be guessing.
Councilmember Chamberlain.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm sure you have more requests than, of course, you have trailers. You have 3 right now. How do you determine that? What's the criteria by which you decide where to place one and when?
It's just, we have a list, so if a neighborhood calls and asks for one, we put them on the list to deploy it. So we move them around quite frequently. There's no special things you have to say or do, and you can get a hold of us by phone. At dispatch, they'll put you through to our traffic sergeant, who kind of keeps the list of where they're going next and schedules them out. If you email us, any way that you get a hold of us, we can get you on a list for a radar trailer. And people do definitely take advantage of that.
We have had some in our neighborhood. Remind me, how long are they there for?
That can vary on what kind of demand we have for them in the summer. Like I said, that's when people are going faster, more attention to traffic through the neighborhoods, a higher demand, so they're typically kept in place a little bit shorter, I would say. But with the 4th one now, maybe we'll be able to expand that time frame a little bit too.
Someone want to move the resolution? Councilmember Bloom.
I move I-4, Standard Purchasing Resolution 4, Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Contract, upgraded speed alert radar message sign with trailer, Troy Police Department, and budget amendment as printed.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. As printed in the agenda packet.
Moved by Councilmember Bloom, supported by Councilmember Gunn, that we approve I-4 Standard Purchasing Resolution 4, Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Contract, upgraded speed alert radar message sign with trailer, Troy Police Department, and budget amendment as printed in the agenda packet. Any discussion? I'll just say I have an idea where it should go when you first get it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do. All right. The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Mayor Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Bloom?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chanda?
Yes.
Councilmember Gunn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hamilton?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next up, I-5 bid waiver for digital accessibility, WCAG 2.1 Level AA compliance services, and that'll be introduced by Courtney Flynn, our Communications Director, who also has Alex with it.
Good evening again, everyone. Tonight, I am requesting a bid waiver for the proposed contract with Common Threads LLC, which is a Berkeley, Michigan-based digital accessibility company. As stated in the memo in the agenda packet, the Department of Justice updated the Title II of the American Disabilities Act back in June of 2024, and that update now requires cities with populations of 50,000 or more people to comply with specific web content accessibility guidelines by April 24th of this year. These guidelines require our website, social media pages, mobile applications, along with all of the documents, photos, and videos on them to be accessible, operable, perceivable, understandable, and robust. What does this mean? Some examples include that all of our online documents, so think PDFs, PowerPoints, our maps, must be created and saved in a specific ADA compliant manner. Our online photos must have alt text, our videos must have captions, and the color contrast on our websites must be at a certain level, along with various other compliance standards as well. Director Bellick and I have been working closely with our web hosting company, Revise, over the last several months to ensure compliance on our website. However, as we started to dig into these compliance standards, we learned that compliance goes beyond just addressing our current issues on the website. Compliance with the DOJ mandate involves more than general accessibility guidelines testing. It requires an understanding of enforcement expectations, remediation prioritization strategies, training for internal staff, and sustainable compliance standards. As we work to meet the April 24th deadline, we want to ensure we are approaching the compliance in a holistic manner, which is why we are focusing on having a roadmap created and having all of our staff who works with our website receive proper training. The contract before you tonight would allow for 5 different staff training sessions on the WCAG guidelines. It would also allow for the development of a roadmap that will guide staff in prioritizing remediation efforts. Having a list of prioritized critical issues will be important in us mitigating any future risk. I am happy to answer any questions.
Councilmember Gunn.
Have we ever had this kind of study or looked at before?
Not to my knowledge. So these are new standards set forth, and so cities that are our size, or 50,000 or more residents, have to comply by April, and then smaller cities have to comply by April of next year. So this is new standards set forth for all municipalities across the country.
So we don't know exactly how out of compliance we are then?
No, so we've done compliance reviews with Revise for our website, and we've remediated quite a few things already, but we also have social media sites. The companies that we work with, that we link to on our site, have to be compliant. Our documents have to be compliant. Our mobile application has to be compliant. So we know that there's a lot more work to be done.
Thank you.
Councilmember Brooks.
Thank you. I just had a quick question. So the videos that we have up, do those have to be closed caption and things like that?
So when they're displayed on our website, yes, they have to be, or our website and our YouTube page, they have to be closed caption. I do not know if them being displayed in here has to be closed caption. Those are questions that, if this contract goes forward, we can speak with the consultant about. She is certified in web accessibility standards.
Mayor Pro Tem Chanda.
Just just a clarification, this consulting company will tell us what we are missing, right? They're not the IT company, they're actually making the change, or what?
So they will not be making the changes. They will help do an audit of our various websites and systems and help us prioritize what needs to be done. And speaking with various consultants and other municipalities, full compliancy is unlikely no matter where you are, just because documents are always being uploaded, websites are always changing. But to us, it's very important that our staff is properly trained so we can continuously be working towards meeting those standards. And then having that roadmap, we're allowed to prioritize what the highest critical issues are so we can immediately start working on those first.
Do you know what the other municipalities around us, similar size, are they doing similar things?
So in the other municipalities I've spoken with, they are primarily focusing on turning their PDFs into compliant PDFs. They're not necessarily taking as broad of an approach, so they're looking at what they have and trying to remediate, where we will also be focusing on that, but we want to look ahead, so we're not having to go back, say, every 3 months and update PDFs that have already been uploaded to the website.
In other words, creating the roadmap for long-term compliance.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Chamberlain.
Thank you, Mayor. I was also going to ask if MML or ICMA has been helpful in providing guidance to cities, but it sounds like you're already talking to those who are relevant.
Yes, there's various MML, 3CMA, there's various different organizations that have been laying their own roadmap, I guess I would say, as to how you can become compliant. But then really every city has been different as to how they're approaching this. And it depends on funding, staffing, and priorities.
Right. The WCAG guidelines are well documented in as far as what we need to do is explicitly spelled out in those guidelines.
Excellent. So you know where to turn to. In terms of the timeline, I commend you. This looks like a fast turnaround. So is it Common Threads, the consultancy, would need to turn around this audit roadmap? Do they have to do the training before April 24th as well, or?
So yes, I believe in the contract it states the training would happen within about 3 to 5 weeks. So it would be really up against the deadline. And again, we understand, and most municipalities understand, that 100% compliancy by the deadline is not necessarily achievable, but we want to make sure that obviously we are working towards that goal and laying the groundwork so we can have the training in place, so we are continuously, everything we do moving past those training dates is compliant.
Excellent. And it's wonderful. We have a consultancy just down the road in Berkeley. How did you find out about them? It's very fortuitous.
And speaking with my other colleagues who are also trying to meet the deadline.
Excellent. Well done.
Councilmember Brooks, your follow-up?
Yeah, I do have a follow-up. Were there any penalties outlined for those municipalities that don't comply?
No, there is just risk of various individuals reviewing your website and bringing forward lawsuits.
Okay. Just wondering.
Different Justice Department probably put these guidelines now than the one that's in there now, so I bet there's going to be some time, would be my guess. You can't say that, but I will. Any other, are we still on questions? We're still on questions. Any other questions? I'll move I-5 bid waiver for digital accessibility WCAG 2.1 level AA compliance services as printed in the agenda packet.
Support.
Moved by the chair, supported by Mayor Pro Tem Chanda, that we approve I-5 bid waiver for digital accessibility WCAG 2.1 level AA compliance services as printed in the agenda packet. Any additional discussion? Just thank you for taking this seriously and finding a way to make sure that we're doing everything we can and doing a good job at it.
Thank you.
Vote, Ms. Dixon.
Councilmember Bloom?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chanda?
Yes.
Councilmember Gunn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hamilton?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes, motion carries. Next up, I-6 Standard Purchasing Resolution 2, low bidder meeting specifications, Bolin Park improvements Phase 1 and 2, and budget amendment, and introduced by Kurt Bovensieff, our DPW Director.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Now we get to talk about the implementation of that reprogramming of the CDBG funds. I know this seems like it's been a long process, I promise. I'm not trying to make this one of those career goals, but really try to get the inclusive park done. If you remember earlier, you did approve the purchase of the play equipment. We did take delivery of that, so we have that in our possession. However, while they were doing those manufacturers, city staff went out and tried to seek additional funds to continue on with the inclusive park idea. And graciously, the Oakland County Parks awarded us a grant, a $250,000 grant that you approved last year to accept. And what those funds really enable us to do is really expand that phase 1 into phase 2 and really take a different approach to just installing the first play structure. So we worked with our consultants, AEW, to put together a plan that included that $250,000 plus the additional reprogramming funds from the Lakeview project, and because we waited long enough, now we have the 2025 CDBG funds available for this project now. So we did put out to bid this project. What it includes is, again, the installation of the first play structure, pathways through the entire area, fencing, and really puts us in a good position to continue on with the inclusive play structure and other amenities. So this does request a budget amendment. It's more of an accounting principle than anything. We have to recognize that we are expending funds, but all of these funds outside of the $250,000 that we've already accepted from the county, all of the CDBG funds are reimbursable, so we would expect to see those funds back to the city of Troy. The contract does require to be complete by June 30th, so the contractor that is being recommended tonight is the same contractor that constructed the pickleball courts in Firefighters Park. So if you're familiar with that project went extraordinarily well, very quickly. Very impressed with that contractor, so I'm hopeful they perform just as well for this project.
So you tried to anticipate so many questions.
Yeah.
Councilmember Hamilton.
It'll be done by June 30th of this year, just to clarify, because wow. But I mean, no, if it's the same contractor, good call on that, because they did a great job.
Yes.
Councilmember Chamberlain.
Thank you, and Mayor. I really appreciate that in this memo, you remind us of the collaboration with ARC of Oakland. Can you just share a little bit, just remind residents of that collaboration, and then to ask you, is that ongoing? Are you circling back with them? How are they involved?
Yes, I talk to Dawn regularly,
Okay.
and my whole philosophy, along with Deputy Director Dennis Trantham, is able-bodied people shouldn't be the ones designing this park. Park's not for people like us. This park is to be for everyone. So engaging with the ARC of Oakland County to talk to not only future participants of this inclusive play area, but also the parents and what's important to them. So we really took all of that into consideration in the design process.
I just want to say that is community engagement at its best, so thank you.
Additional question, Mayor Pro Tem Chanda.
Thank you. I'm really passionate about this project. You hear me asking all kinds of questions. So I guess with all this additional funding, I see in your memo it says it's also doing the stormwater and drainage improvement. So what is left from the overall? I understand the second play structure and the swing, but besides that, what else is left?
So our vision had a lot of minor amenities. It had the wheelchair charging station. It had respite areas for someone who needed some calming space. It also included renovating the existing restrooms into an inclusive restroom for able-bodied people and unable-bodied people. So that's all still in the future. And we did put in that in our application for this year's CDBG to include all that. And Courtney Flynn, Communications Director, has been working with the county. They don't seem like they have decided on what level of award they're giving to the communities yet, so we're still waiting to hear on what award we would get for that and how we can move into phase 3 and beyond.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Gunn.
Well, I'm glad to see this coming to a completion too, so this is great. I'm really thankful for the county for the $250,000 that we got. Maybe there's somebody in the audience that could help us get the additional funding. Just a thought.
A reminder, those were our tax dollars that the county gave back to us. So just so we're clear, and don't get too excited. Sorry. Additional questions? Councilmember Hamilton, you want to move this resolution?
Sure.
I can do it.
I can move it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'll move it. I'll move I-6, Standard Purchasing Resolution 2, Low Bidder Meeting Specifications, Bullen Park Improvements, Phase 1 and 2, and Budget Amendment as printed in the agenda packet.
Support.
Moved by Councilmember Chamberlain, supported by Councilmember Hamilton, that we approve I-6 Standard Purchasing Resolution 2, Low Bidder Meeting Specifications, Bowland Park Improvements, Phase 1 and 2, and budget amendment as printed in the agenda packet. Any additional discussion? The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chanda?
Yes.
Councilmember Gunn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hamilton?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Bloom?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you, Kurt. Next up, I-7 2026 City Council meeting schedule presented by City Manager Nastasi.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm requesting to schedule a special meeting on July 27th at 6 p.m. for the 6-month EMS performance evaluation required under the agreement with Star EMS. We continue to receive monthly reports and meet with the provider on a consistent basis. Staff remains in contact throughout the month as needed, and performance is being actively reviewed. The July meeting will provide council with the formal opportunity to review the 6-month data and discuss any adjustments if necessary. And I'm able to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. Any questions? I'll move I-7 2026 City Council meeting schedule as printed in the agenda packet.
Support.
Moved by the chair, supported by Mayor Pro Tem Chanda, that we approve I-7 2026 City Council meeting schedule as printed in the agenda packet. Any discussion? The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Councilmember Chamberlain?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chanda?
Yes.
Councilmember Gunn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hamilton?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Bloom?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Motion carries. That concludes regular business. Next up is the consent agenda. Would anyone like to pull an item from the consent agenda for further discussion? Councilmember Hamilton.
I'd like to move all items on the consent agenda as printed in the agenda packet.
Support.
Moved by Councilmember Hamilton, supported by Councilmember Chamberlain, that we approve all items on the consent agenda as printed in the agenda packet. Any discussion? The vote, Ms. Dixon.
Mayor Pro Tem Chanda?
Yes.
Councilmember Gunn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hamilton?
Yes.
Mayor Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Bloom?
Yes.
Councilmember Brooks?
Yes.
Councilmember Chamberlain?
Yes.
Motion carries. If you're here for an item on the consent agenda, all have been approved this evening. Next up, memorandums and future council agenda items. K1A, announcement of public hearing for March 23rd, 2026. Conditional rezoning, JPCR 2025-010. Proposed Z-Square Medical Office Building, north side of Big Beaver, east side of Frankton, PIN 88-20-22-358-028 and 029. Section 22 from R1E, One Family Residential Zoning District, to BB, Big Beaver Zoning District. And that's at our next meeting on March 23rd. Next up is public comment for items not on the agenda from Troy residents and businesses. Mary Ellen, you signed up, did you? Okay, Mary Ellen Barden is signed up. Please come forward. Take your time.
Just not sure my leg is gonna work when my back does. Hi again. I'm here tonight following the Planning Commission's decision to move forward on a single zoning approach for the North Troy District rather than case-by-case zoning. I understand the desire for efficiency. Singular zoning framework can provide predictability, but predictability should not come at the expense of longtime residents or the distinct character of individual areas. The purpose of North Troy District is not a uniform environment. It includes different roadway conditions, traffic patterns, housing types, neighborhood expectations. Treating it as a single zoning category risks losing those differences rather than respecting them. I ask that you consider creating multiple zones within the North Troy District instead of one broad designation. Thoughtful overlays would allow for intentional variation while protecting established neighborhoods and honoring community expectations. The most recent update to the zoning ordinance showed a clear effort to address needs of particular areas throughout Troy, and I appreciate that work. However, even when targeting adjustments, we still have residents from Troy Corners and several other neighborhoods show up in force to express their specific concerns not being addressed. When that many residents show up and feel compelled to attend and speak, that signals something significant. It reinforces the need for very targeted zoning rather than one-size-fits-all approach. Please use the moment to get this right. And if North Troy is being reimagined, perhaps this is also an opportunity to finally create what the city has long desired, which is a true downtown area. A defined walkable center with appropriate density, commercial activity, and gathering space could concentrate growth where it makes sense rather than dispersing it uniformly. At the same time, I strongly encourage zoning that explicitly supports ranch-style, single-family detached homes in particularly at the northeast corner of the proposed district. Many senior residents have lived in their homes for decades. They may want to downsize, but they do not want to share walls or even move into towers. They still want a small, defined space where they can garden, grill, and enjoy privacy without a neighbor at arm's length away. Providing that option respects the demographic reality of our city. It offers transition housing for allowing longtime residents to remain in Troy rather than feeling pushed out. One size rarely fits all. Troy has an opportunity to define the next chapter of this area. I urge you to consider multiple zoning within the district and slow down enough to ensure that what is adopted reflects the full potential of North Troy, not just the convenience one single label. Thank you.
That concludes those that have signed up for public comment for items not on the agenda from Troy residents and businesses, and now is an opportunity for council or administration response. I'll just say thank you for coming, and I'm not sure yet when those zoning amendments will be before us, but I did see, I think we all saw something from Brent Savadant that said that we're moving forward with the zoning amendments, and also he's moving forward with preparing something for looking at something specific to Troy Corners as a separate district as well. So there is forward progress on that. So we will, but again, appreciate your comments, and we'll take them to heart and consideration when we move forward on those zone amendments. No council referrals. Reports, there was a late submittal of a report on the table, O2A. Any comments? Councilmember Chamberlain?
Thank you, Mayor. Just the late submittal, O2A, as I was reading more carefully, sometimes it's hard on my phone. When I get a late submittal, I can't read it on my work computer, so it's on my phone. But I do see at the end, it does say that staff is preparing additional information to schedule some more time to discuss the priorities. Initially, when I skimmed it, I saw that, the hope was just to kind of add it on as we talk about budget. And again, I kind of felt, some of the very issues we want to talk about, zoning and others, are things that don't really tie into the budget. So they kind of necessitate something a little different. But it looks like your team is on it, you're thinking of it. And just to circle back again on some of my thinking with it, it's not just a tool, it's our priorities vis-a-vis, of course, the city and city administration. But a lot of that's in partnership. Like, you know what many of our priorities are. If anything, I believe deeply it is a tool to engage the public. It is to let the public know what are kind of the top 5 things that, we're trying to move the needle on in a year. And as it used to be, to have it on, like page 3 after our ethics, to have it somewhere on an agenda that people can see and you can point to or ask questions. So just to bear that in mind, I see it equally as very much a community engagement, not just tool, but it's a way for us to engage our public, because we are their primary liaisons on council with the public. So just to bear that in mind as well for the team. Thanks.
Councilmember Chamberlain, any other comments on reports or report? All right, how about council comments? Councilmember Gunn.
Well, first, I just want to thank staff and everybody that put the time and planning commission into that presentation for the new development. It was a lot of work, and I really appreciate that. It looks to me like planning is, engaging and pushing back and creating additional green space that the residents so desperately call for. So I'm proud of that. And I like to call out our students, because I'm amazed every time I see, we've had people come before us and say, hey, we need money. Troy Athens students in Charity Week raised $102,000 for to support families affected by cancer. I mean, that just shows the ingenuity of all of our students in Troy. I'm amazed over and over. Last week we saw 2 groups come before us. And I want to recognize the Girl Bots, all-girl robotics team, who looks like they're about to take on some endeavors too for STEM. So very proud of our students.
Thank you, Councilmember Gunn. Councilmember Bloom.
Just wanted to say with gratitude to the entire staff that put together the firefighter appreciation gala, as well as recognizing some of our really brave firefighters. I thought that was a really nice night spent together, as well as honoring those in our community who are running to danger and serving. So just wanted to say thank you to the entire staff and those that put it together. I also want to recognize that in our agenda, we approved 2 areas that are going to increase accessibility for people of all ages, stages, and capabilities, whether or not that's for inclusive play structures and seeing more of that at Boland Park, but also in terms of accessibility for readability on website, being able to read, being able to understand and access not just parks, but information makes it so that all of us can participate. And study after study shows that kids that are able to engage in equipment of equal ability not only have better outcomes in education, but socially, and it's something that we need in our community. Also spent time with Councilmember Chandra with the Troy Hammerhead team this week. And again, on the theme of robots that Councilmember Gunn brought up, that program for FIRST Robotics costs that team over $75,000 a year to operate. And FIRST Robotics students, time and time again, are the first out of the gate to get entry-level jobs and key internships. It's an advantage to our community to have FIRST Robotics in our high schools, in our middle schools, and at our elementary. I'm so proud to see the level of volunteering, but also the incredible financial support that it requires. So learning more about them is definitely something I encourage everybody to do.
Thank you, Councilmember Bloom. Councilmember Hamilton.
It's hard to believe it, but this is our last meeting before St. Patrick's Day. So a little early.
That is hard to believe.
Yeah, because we aren't on our meeting for 3 weeks, but happy St. Patrick's Day in 2 weeks. And in honor of Councilmember Abraham, she would always mention, you know, be safe on St. Patrick's Day. Don't drink and drive. Get a Uber. And I know Troy Police, we don't mess around with DUIs. Troy is not a city you want to get a DUI in. We enforce it very harshly, justifiably. So that's.
Councilmember Chamberlain.
Thank you, Mayor. I just realized that last week, February 24th, was the anniversary of first being appointed to council in 2020. And I remember it because, of course, we were heading into a global pandemic. So quite a time to suddenly be in public service. And it hit me because last week we were running around. I was at Hammerheads, but I think after you all were there, I was there with my son after March's Reading Month at my son's school. We were at iftar dinners. We were at a sugar shed ribbon cutting at the nature center. I was tapping my tree with my son. I was thinking the things that brought me hope then are first responders, our police, our fire, our EMS, thinking of all the ways our frontline service was putting themselves on the line during COVID, and just thinking those are the same things that inspire me, that bring me gratitude, because even right now, we're in a time of war, a time of it's tumultuous in its own way. And so again, just praying for unity in our country and just finding hope, as in our firefighters banquet, just having a moment of saying thank you and gratitude to our volunteer firefighters, tapping trees and reminding ourselves of the solace we find in nature and that we have a beautiful nature preserve in our community. So just want to encourage folks to find your solace in those things that we do have around our beautiful community. Whether it was during COVID or even now, we have so much to offer in this community.
Thank you, Councilmember Chamberlain. Pro Tem Chanda.
Pretty much joining the chorus to saying we had a lot of things in the last few weeks. First of all, thanks to the city staff for putting together that wonderful firefighter appreciation dinner. We are really grateful to our first responders, and it's one way to show that. I was also in that robotics competition, and we are really amazed to see what our high school kids can do. I was there just 6 weeks ago, less than 6 weeks ago, when the game was revealed, and within 6 weeks they have a functioning robot. So we talk about AI, we have AI in Troy, and that is something they're participating in. Kudos to the Athens High School students for raising that kind of money. So we see this idea of service among our next generation, and we really are proud of that. Also to see this Boland Park inclusive play structure is taking shape. When we build that, we're doing more than just putting a structure. We are sending the message that we are an inclusive city. We value everyone, different levels of physical ability, and been saying this over and over again. We're a city of inclusion and optimism, so we are optimistic that we'll get the rest of the funding to complete the project, but, and I think somebody in the room can help us. But thanks for everyone for doing all the work we are doing. Very grateful for that.
I don't have anything either. No one signed up for public comment for items on or not on the agenda for members of the public outside of Troy. We do have a closed session, so we'll recess from here and pick up in the boardroom.
Pretty well said, hurrah.
Putting pressure on that.
I know.